Yo no naka wa jigoku no ue no hanami kana. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time, said by the great haiku poet Kobayashi Issa. In English, living in this world is like enjoying cherry blossom viewing over hell. Now is the time of the cherry blossoms in Japan. Actually, they're kind of fading away now. I'm a little bit late. But I love this quote. Living in this world is like viewing cherry blossoms over hell. This quote happened to be in a book that I picked up just the other day. The Japanese Art of Extraordinary Beings, a Genealogy of Dark Fantasy. Curated by Shoko Haruki and translated by Tamayo Samejima. It's a really cool book about some of the old Japanese art, the Ukiyo-e woodblock prints, and I was so excited about it that I just wanted to share it with you today. So let's take a look together, and if the weather holds out, I might do this under the cherry blossoms, or I might move inside because it looks like it's going to rain pretty soon. This book is organized to contain all kinds of different elements of the ancient Buddhist sages and also extraordinary beings and paranormal phenomena, mystical, divine, and supernatural beasts, embodiments of human desires, cloning selves, curses, enchantments, demon slaying, dragon slaying, sorcerers' duels, and grand conflicts. You have a lot of heroes of Japanese mythology and also figures from Chinese mythology, and a lot of the amazing artists who are both known and slightly unknown. There are sketches, there are paintings, there are woodblock prints, sumi-e, which is the Japanese ink painting. Lots of incredible stuff in here. Shoko Haruki seems to be a very fascinating individual. She's curated some exhibitions at the Edo Tokyo Museum, the Hokkaido Museum. One of her books is widely available in the West, which is Edo Punk, The Dynamic World of Ukiyo-e, by Kuniyoshi Yoshitoshi and others, published by Pi International in 2022. Shoko Haruki has an introduction here, The Liberators of Darkness. She tries hard to connect some of the old classic art from hundreds of years ago with some of the modern things that are going on, like Kimetsu no Yaiba, or Demon Slayer, or Attack on Titan. This painting of the 15th imperial ruler, Empress Jingu, almost looks like modern-day manga a little bit, painted by Tsukioka Yoshitoshi. I actually haven't even gotten through much of this yet, so I'm excited to dive in here. Let's take a look together and just kind of flip around randomly. Chapter 1, Lineage of Figures with Supernatural Abilities. The gathering and revelry of supernatural figures, arhats, immortal hermits, sorcerers, and Japanese mythological deities. Really cool images of the ancient ascetics, arhats, Buddhist sages. This guy's opening up his body to reveal the Buddha inside. This is a really cool folding screen of the Chinese immortals. The artist Soga Shohaku is renowned for his eccentric and unconventional style. His paintings were described as dubious and ugly during his lifetime. At the far left of the screen is the Queen Mother of the West, a goddess in ancient Chinese myths. In this painting, she has peaches which come from a tree that only bears fruit once every 3,000 years and grant longevity to those who eat them. So she symbolizes perpetual youth and longevity. The scene of the immortal hermits gathering on her birthday was a classic subject in art. Despite portraying this familiar theme, Shohaku added his unique twist to the appearances of the hermits. From right to left, in this picture, there's Dong Feng, a skilled physician accompanied by a tiger. Zhao Shi, who summons a phoenix with the sound of zhao, which is a vertical Chinese bamboo flute. Forgive my pronunciation here. Next is Li Tieguai, whose body was burnt while he intentionally disembodied his soul, leading to his resurrection in the body of a beggar with a crippled leg. Chen Nan, who calls a dragon using a bowl. Lin Heijing, a poet who takes a plum blossom as his wife and a crane as his child. Zuo Si, who outmaneuvers Cao Cao, the king of the Wei dynasty, in the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And of course, Toad Immortal, who carries a huge frog and, for some reason, is having his ear cleaned by a woman. Here's another kind of similar one. Comparison of Heroes with Magical Powers by Tsukioka Yoshitoshi, painted in 1869. During the Edo period, stories of Ino Ryokusha, or people with supernatural abilities who battle using magic or illusions, spread and gained popularity among the public through illustrated novels, kabuki theater plays, and kodan storytellings. This artwork depicts an all-star lineup of such characters, gathered from various tales. Starting from right to left in this picture, there is the vengeful spirit, Tsubone, Iwafuji, riding a butterfly. Senkanja Yoshitora, a character depicted as a descendant of the renowned warrior Minamoto no Yoshitsune, riding a giant eagle. Orochi Maru, who controls a giant serpent. Otomo no Wakana Hime, a practitioner of spider magic. Madara Maru, who wields cat magic. Shimizu no Kanja Yoshitaka, a bereaved child of the renowned warrior Kiso Yoshinaka, who uses rat magic. Mori Soiken, a Christian and practitioner who employs toad magic. Kusunoki Komahime, a character depicted as a descendant of the renowned warrior Kusunoki Masashige, who rides a crane. And Tengu Kozo Kiritaro, who manipulates Karasu Tengu, which is a crow-like, long-nosed goblin. Gotta love the rat magic versus cat magic versus spider magic. And of course, toad magic. While there were tales of people being attacked by rats, there were also tales of people being saved by rats. In the Ningyo Joruri, which is a kind of a puppet play, there is a scene where Yuki Hime, the snow princess, daughter of the famous Muromachi-era artist monk Seishu, is saved by a rat. Captured and bound with a rope by an enemy, the girl draws a rat with her toenail. Miraculously, the depicted rat comes to life and bites off the rope to rescue her. One of the oldest Japanese legends is the Iwato Gakure, a mythological story that means hiding in a cave. That was the goddess Amaterasu Ōmikami, which is the goddess of the sun. She's the ancestor of the imperial family, and she's enshrined at the Ise Jingu shrine. But she concealed herself within a cave, and all of the gods gathered outside, and they tried to get her to come back because the world was shrouded in darkness and there was no more sun. And so all of them started dancing and singing around the mouth of the cave and making a great deal of noise. At that moment, Amaterasu cautiously peeked outside to see what was happening, and so the god Tajikarao no Mikoto pulled the rock door open, drawing Amaterasu out of the cave and bringing the sun back. There's also this cool one, Minamoto no Tametomo, a military commander from the Heian period who was defeated in the Hogen Rebellion and exiled to Izu Oshima Island, where he took his own life. There's a fictional novel of Tametomo in English called The Side Stories of Chinzei Hachiro Tametomo, The Strange Tales of the Bow Moon. It was published in 29 books and grouped into 5 volumes between 1807 and 1811. Told in an epic scale, it proposes that he did not actually die, but went through a series of remarkable trials, ultimately reaching the Ryukyu kingdom, which is present-day Okinawa. And he both saved and rebuilt the royal family. So you can see in this image, he is incredibly strong, and this is a part of the novel where 3 islanders are struggling in vain to draw his massive bow, which shows his strength. And this was actually painted by Katsushika Hokusai. You might know Hokusai. He has a lot of pictures in here. Hokusai painted the Great Wave off Kanegawa, one of the views of Mount Fuji. Very famous painting. Hey, look. Here it is on the side of a seafood shop. It's everywhere. One of my all-time favorites, Utagawa Kuniyoshi, Tamatori Hime, So the Princess Tamatori recapturing the sacred jewel from the Dragon Palace. So she's a diver who's particularly good at swimming. She grasps a jewel with her left hand while wielding a blade in her right hand. A giant dragon and the Dragon King's attendants hold weapons and they're chasing her. This is based on the Tamatori legend, which is about a female diver. The legend tells that she retrieved a sacred jewel which had been taken by the Dragon King while en route from China. Although successfully recovering the jewel, the diver was tracked down by the dragon. She cut the bottom of her breast to hide the jewel, sacrificing her life. And actually there's a variation of this painting, which is by Hokusai. This one is by Kuniyoshi, but Hokusai's one is a well-known kind of pornographic picture of the woman and the octopus, which you may be familiar with. Chapter 3, Threatening Natural Phenomena. Today's kind of threatening. Actually, the sun's coming out now. I don't really know what's going on here. I feel like it's gonna rain, or maybe there'll be a rainbow. Disastrous destructibility of fire, water, wind, thunder, and light. Light? Lightning? Light? Well, the destructive nature of light can be seen in my Tsundoku collection, which, of course, all the spines are fading day by day. Similar to earthquakes and fires, thunder and lightning are frightening natural disasters, but at the same time, they're also considered a blessing that brings fertility along with rain. This is reflected in the Japanese word for lightning, inazuma, where the first kanji character solely means rice. Here, the god appears to be dancing while raising drumsticks to strike drums. He's wearing a dubious smile. It's unclear whether he intends to bring fortune or disaster. Speaking of thunder and lightning, check this out. Sugawara no Michizane praying at Tenpai-zan, Mount Tenpai. This one particularly is really cool because it uses a lot of the Western painting techniques that they started incorporating into the traditional Japanese art. This illustration depicts Saigyo, a poet and monk in the Heian period who traveled throughout various provinces. Here he is collecting the bones of a human to attempt a spell to infuse a soul into them. Legends tell that if the creator revealed the name of the created person, both the creator and the created person would disappear. The manga series Full Metal Alchemist has a similar theme. In that manga, two brothers use a forbidden alchemy to revive their deceased mother, but in doing so, they lose their own bodies. This is a detail of a scroll showing the defeat of the demon Shuten-dōji by Minamoto no Yorimitsu and his 4 strong retainers. This is the ultimate demon-slaying image. According to the legend, Shuten-dōji ravaged and devoured the daughters of noble families in the capital one after another. Under the emperor's order to defeat the demon, Yorimitsu and his men disguised themselves as mountain priests and visited the demon's mansion. They indulged in a drinking party with the demon, getting him drunk on sake, and then beheaded him while he slept. However, the severed head flew around and eventually bit Yorimitsu. The story became a classic, repeatedly being depicted in scrolls and picture books. This is one of the most famous ones, attributed to Kanno Sanryaku. I love this one too. The wolf Yamao bites the serpent in the mountains to save his owner. This is from the Strange Tales of the Bow Moon as well, and painted by Katsushika Hokusai. This picture shows Minamoto no Tametomo and his vassal, Suto Shigesue, being attacked by a giant serpent. The episode in the Strange Tales of the Bow Moon talks about how they were rescued by Yamao, a wolf that had grown attached to Tametomo. When Shigesue saw Yamao howling toward Tametomo, he thought the wolf was about to attack him, so he beheaded it. Surprisingly, Yamao the wolf remained alive, even though he was just a disembodied head, and then he bit a serpent that suddenly appeared. Yamao's howling was indeed meant to warn his owner, Tametomo, of the impending danger. This episode may have been taken by Studio Ghibli and used in the movie Princess Mononoke. Director Hayao Miyazaki certainly would have known of this scroll, and he created the scene where the wolf Moro, in her dying moments as only a head, bites off the right arm of the enemy, Lady Eboshi. Despite the similarity in the motif of just being a head and attacking, it undergoes a transformation from representing the strength of loyalty to humans to depicting the strength of hatred toward humans. I mentioned in a previous video, I think it was my Snow White video, where I was talking about how I'm a folklore and mythology nerd. And I can never get enough of Japanese mythology and a lot of the ancient creatures and beings and famous warriors and monks and priests of Japanese history and mythology. It's so fascinating. If you like this kind of thing, you can check out, there's a lot of books on yokai, there's a lot of books on Japanese history. More and more are getting published all the time, especially the more easy to read ones rather than the really dense ones, because so many people are interested in manga and anime now. And I think there's a lot of really cool stuff out there. So I can't really recommend this book because it's so hard to find if you're outside Japan. If you live in Japan, check it out. And if you get lost in a world of dreams and the floating world, the world of Ukiyo-e and woodblock prints, that's not so bad, right? Then it makes the day-to-day reality, the hell of the real world, kind of easier to take, I think. Just focus on the flowers. Focus on the blossoms. That's what we need to focus on. Don't look at the hellscape. Just get lost in the fantasy. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.